Hey guys, welcome back. So, I just wanted to talk about the generations. How, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know I've talked about how America had reached its apex, I think around 2003, 4, 5. It just had reached the top of what the best it's gonna be. And right now we're on this slow decline of American values, culture, religion, morals, just everything that stood for 200 plus years is now collapsing under this leftist progressive mentality that was born from a hatred for, for everything that our American culture was. Now, these new generation, they're microaggressions. And this goes for the celebrities and the athletes too, which if you watch my videos, I have no love for whatsoever. I mean, I hate them. I even go as far as stop enjoying movies when I see certain actors in it because I know how much of a piece of shit they are in person, or the one they represent, the phoniness, the attention seeking that they like to do. This whole backing BLM and the whole doing these PSAs. This is their mentality. Like, I'm going to make a PSA and that's really going to sock it to them. They're really so out of touch. And, if you ever met a celebrity, I used to work with them because I did security, I did bodyguard work, and I worked with a lot of them. And they're so aloof, most of them, they don't live in reality. Their whole world is people catering to them at their beck and call. And then their arrogance and their narcissism is so larger than they are that they don't even realize it. So that's what makes them out of touch, because they think that making a PSA or taking a knee and putting a fist in the air is like somehow, especially white leftist liberal from Hollywood. They're the absolute worst. They're the phoniest people because let me tell you, they are super racist. Anyway, getting off of that, I just wanted to talk about the 70s, how people that were born in the 70s, I think, are probably the second generation compared to those that were born in the 30s and the 40s that went to war. Well, mostly the 30s, the 20s and 30s. And I think the kids that are born in the 70s get it. I think the ones that are born in the late 80s and early 90s, 2000s are so out of touch with what American values are, because by then schools started dropping social studies and history and, just like the fundamentals of living in society to get more of a more progressive stand on American culture. The revisionist history that they give now is a total affront to our Constitution, to everything America was built on. Now, you could tear down all the statues you want from the past, guys that fought, to save this country, or you could tear down Christopher Columbus. It's stupid. I don't believe in idols anyway. I don't know why we make statues of anybody. We shouldn't have. I think idols are stupid. Humans should just think of themselves as people, as a vessel of trying to progress yourself to make the world a better place. And you shouldn't want to be idolized. You should want to do it selflessness, not trying to seek attention or wealth or anything. That's just me. But that being said, we do have statues of people that have done stuff. Now, Christopher Columbus was an explorer. Now, the way history puts him out, they make him a villain, whatever. Look, Spain at the time were the greatest, had the greatest navy back when Christopher Columbus was sailing. So they put him on some ships, and they sent him out because they had this enormous navy that was the best in the world at the time. It could have been anybody. It could have been, another Spaniard sailor. So it doesn't really matter that Christopher Columbus statues are getting torn down. What matters is that the world beyond Spain and into Hispaniola and those countries down there were discovered by Ponce de Leon, Christopher Columbus, and other explorers, and they just want to celebrate their, exploration and their discovery. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, but apparently there's something wrong with exploration and discovery, and if it wasn't for him, a lot of little nations like Haiti, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, all the little Hispanic islands, all the islands off of the Bahamas, none of that would have been discovered by a Spaniard, and it could have been discovered by another tyrant, maybe the English or the French or somebody even worse off than them. And that's what the world was at the time. If you were a tyrant and you were just strong, like Spain had this great navy, you succeeded and you made discoveries. And that was the world at that time. We don't live in that world. Discoveries now are one in technology and medicine, and exploration is space. I mean, there's not too much more to explore in the world except the oceans, but those are the frontier. They're the frontier people. And I don't know what was on their mind, if they were racist or whatever their representative, but they all came from places where tyrants succeeded. They overthrew the weaker people, took them over, exploited them, and then used their resources, their technology, their resources, their expanded themselves through their mathematics, through their maps and everything. And that's how the world is the way it is now, and it's split up. And even like you just find some islands like St. John's and St. Croix are, they're French. The French, they fly the French flag, or they fly the British flag in some of the British Isles. I mean, those were those times, different times. So I think tearing down those statues, if they make you happy, so what? I mean, they're just statues. I think, like I was saying before, idols are ridiculous. That's just some of my thoughts on that. But this whole thing eventually has to come to an end, and hopefully it'll come to an end when they burn it all down and they realize, when they're tired of doing all that, when they have nowhere to go for their supplies and their food and the things that they want, because those companies won't come back there and rebuild, that they'll have to drive 20, 30 miles to another neighborhood, and then there's no jobs for them, and no one wants to build there, because every time they build there, they get burnt down. That's what's going to happen. And that's how I would feel if I was a business owner. I wouldn't build in these places anymore that have riots and get burned down. New York, Chicago, Massachusetts, Atlanta, Ohio. Well, places, look, as long as they have mayors that are Democrats and governors that are Democrats, and they like to let their criminals run wild, you're never going to have peace. Anyway, I've said my due. If you got a comment, please leave it.